Hi guys, you're welcome back to the second part of this particular tutorial, which is focused on Firebase login, sign up, and profile page, whereby we'll be using the application drawer as the layout. And from here, we've talked about in the previous tutorial where we use the vector asset to actually get the menu, whereby we imported the build flag, the camera, the photo library. We've also created the layout files of this particular application, whereby we have the activity edit, the login, the main, the sign up, our bar profile, which is for the draw bar. We have the content profile, we have the fragment for the profile, and we have the nav header profile. That's whereby we have the profile icon, and we also have the profile data list. We've added the dependencies that we needed for this particular application in the first part of this video. So if you're just joining now, we implore you to lay hands on the first part of this particular tutorial so that you'll be able to understand what we've done in the previous video. So now we'll be extending and we're moving more. We've created all classes we needed: the edit profile activity, Firebase, login, main. We have the profile activity, the profile fragment, sign up activity, the user profile, and also some packages about we were talking about the adapters, the Firebase, and the helper. So before we move to the Java classes, we need to create the menu package, whereby we need to create some menu resource file, whereby we talk about the activity profile drawable, and we have the edit profile and also the profile XML, whereby we have the item menu, that will sit at the drawer of this particular application. So right there in rest, I'll be creating a directory which I will call menu. So that sits here. So inside the menu, I'm going to have the menu resource file. I'm going to have activity underscore profile underscore drawer. It's actually going to undo all drawer item. Now I'm going to group this to Android checkable behavior single. So let's have the items. First item, Android ID, profile, so actually let me close this before continue. So it's actually going to sit in the group. Copy this out, paste it somewhere here. So let's get this continue. Android icon. It's called drawable. Now we have the IC. It's not correct. Drawable. Now we have the IC underscore. We're going to actually call the camera out. Where's it over there? That's it. And close the right there. Call the title. Which is actually going to be at string. Menu profile. We have that set ready. Close that. We have another item. Send an ID. That's ID. And have chats. Android icon. Drawable. Now let's look at the next icon. IC title, string. Let's just call them in the charts. Content. Android icon. Android. Let's give a slideshow. I see slideshow black. Android title. String. Menu contacts. Let's find another item. ID. Android. Now it's going to be a speak. I see. Manage. Speak be back. No problem. You have a title. String. Line. Close divider. The end of the group. Now I'm going to have an item with a title of settings. Now inside the settings you have mailing. Inside the menu you have the items. Android ID. Plus ID. You don't have settings. I was going to call the icon. We're going to give that. We're going to give that. That's Android or Android. IC. This is for settings anyway. And let's just give share. IC. Let's go share. Let's go block. Let's go 24 pp.xml. The icon. Android. Title. And string. Menu settings. Now I need a closing item, not menu. Menu is closed. IDs are here. We're going to have another item. Let's just copy this. This right there. Now it's going to be now logout. It's going to call the last one, which is actually going to be for send. That's fine. So that's cool. Let's close this right there. Happen and drivable. As all this should be DB. Happen. Can't resolve this. Okay, let me use Android. Okay, actually don't need to point at XML. Just don't need that. It's okay. So you're fine, good to go. Let's have the edit right there. You're gonna have the edit, new menu resource. Profile. What the edit profile? These are the items straight away. Android ID, action, edit, profile. Category should be 100. Android icon. Drawable. I see. Let's call it. It's actually going to be for the edit profile. Let's use this, the debut black, Android title, string, call the action settings, and we call app show as action. If there is room for that, show that. Let's bring this in. That's fine. So let's have the last menu, which is going to be profile XML. So what we're going to have there, something similar to edit profile. So I just lift this. To action. Actions. Settings. Another need icon. Level. That's fine. From here, we'll be moving straight to the main activity of this particular application, and we're going to first of all integrate the splash before we get to do all the stuff. We have done create the call on the super state, the save instance state, but let's create a private field, final variable int. Let's call that splash display length. 1000. This is going to be in milliseconds. So we have that set. Now we're going to actually request window feature, what we call the window feature, no title over there. Now we get the window, set flags, what we call the window manager, layout params, flag full screen, make this layout full screen. It's also still called the window manager, layout parameters, flag full screen. Cool. So we're gonna make this a full screen. Now let's set requested orientation, what we call the activity info. Screen orientation, portraits. It's fine. Now call the action bar class. Action bar objects. Get support action bar. Now let's test if action bar is not equals to null. Please hide it. That's fine. Now we're going to have a new handler. New handler. Post. Let's get to import the Android OS handler. Call the post delayed new runnable. Now we can override the run. How about we now pass an intent to start activity intent equals to new intent. Instantiate this. Now we're going to pass this to the main activity, this class. So from here it falls down to the login activity class. That's fine. Now we need to start activity. We're passing start activity intent as the parameter. Sorry for that. Now main activity, this finish, so that you won't have the ability to go back to this splash. That's the essence of that finish. So now why do we need this new runnable? We need this. You also have a curve. We specify splash display length to actually now still over there. That's cool. So we've integrated the splash screen and it's forward imports down to the login activity. So from the main activity, we'll be looking at the login activity, and we'll actually need one more. So let's look at the login activity. We've been able to handle the splash successfully. So the login activity extends app compact activity. We get to have few fields: private, static, final, string, the tag, which will be equals to login activity class, and it's going to get simple name. We get to have for the edit text, edit text called email input. Let's have another edit text. It's time for password input. You know, have another edit text. Text view this time. Text view. Sign up text. Text view. Okay. Error. Firebase up and up. So we need to import this from the Firebase. Now let's override the onCreate method. Protected, void, onCreate. We'll pass the bundle, its objects, saved, instance, state. Import this from the Android OS. Now we're going to requests, window feature, window dot feature dot title, get window. I will set flags, window manager, layout programs, like just like what we did for the main activity. We did something of this nature. I just copy that. Get window, this, copy this, come back to the login, space it, right. Yeah, that's what we need. Now let's call the super on create, and we'll pass the save the instance state as parameter, and set the content view to the layout, activity login. That's cool. Now let's set requested orientation, activity info, screen orientation, portrait. Same thing we're going to do when we hide the action bar over here. Let's copy this, copy it down to the login activity, paste divider. It's fine. So let me collapse this. Now you have that set. Now we need to now make authentication. First is going to be mauth equals to Now you need the Firebase application. Firebase application. Get application. Get Firebase authentication. So we're still going to create something of this nature. Now we're going to still call Firebase application. Get application. Check. Use login. To actually the login activity. This class. You need to have the login error. But we get the cast the text view to get a view. Find the ID. Our ID there's an error. Login error. Let's go and do that. Let's have for the email field, mail inputs. Let's get the text view as well. And viewer ID. Now the email, and the email, ID. This should be the text, text view. For the password inputs, initializing the fields, sending the text, find viewer ID, password. Now we're going to call the sign up text, and let's call the sign up. It's going to also be the text view. Find viewer ID. ID, and we'll register. So we're going to set an on-click listener to this sign up to this text. Set on-click listener. Instantiate the new view. On-click listener. And from here you're going to create override the on-click. Override the on-click. Public. Void. On-click. Pass the view. Call an intent. Sign up intent. So that's going to be a class that will handle this. Import that. New intent. Login activity. This class. Passing an intent to the sign up activity class. That's just it. So you need to start the activity and pass the sign up intent as a parameter. So that undoes the on-click list there. That now we still need to under the button when logging. It's a final button. Call it login button. Now we still need to get the value, so we cast that. Find view by ID, our ID, login button. So we still need to set on click listener to that. Login button. That was the way we did for the sign up. Set on click listener. Let's shade the new view. Click listener. Now override. Then click. Public. Void. Click. Pass the view. Parameter, just like the way we did earlier. Now let's undo this. So we're going to call the string entered. This is just a container to hold on to the email input. Get text, convert to string. So I will also for the password, entered password input, get text, convert to string. So now if text utils is empty, which is the entered email, or if the text utils is empty, that's going to be for the password. Entered password is just like a validation. It's going to call the helper. We're going to create all that later on, which is actually going to display message toast. This is on the login activity. So it's going to say it's a login fields must be filled. Let's see what this guy is trying to report. I'm not sure it's going to be the helper spinner without video or spinner. No, it's actually going to be the helper subpackage. So I'm not going to import that now. So let me just be patient until I create the helper. So I need to return else. So we still have another test. If it's not helper is valid email entered email I'm going to call the helper display message posts date, email entered, just to return. Now Firebase application, get application, login, user, so the login activity, this, so if everything, all things being equal, actually going to be the entered password, enter the email first for the entered password and the login error, and the login error. That space is too much. Use a space. That's fine. So if Firebase application, get application, I think this covers it here. Login user, login error. There. So we need to create some stuff. Oh, that's fine. So let's override the onStart and onStop. Public void onStart, call it super onStart, override public void onStop, super onStart. Now for that to happen, we need to test if Firebase application get application, I call it M up listener, not equals to null. Just have that empty. So with this now, we need to create the Firebase application and we need to talk about the helper. So these are the major aspects of this login, the Firebase application, and we'll talk about the helper. So I'm actually going to copy in this Firebase application and I'll explain how it flows. So just now here we go with the Firebase application. This extends the application where we have the fields, the Firebase auth, the authentication states, and also the get Firebase authentication. So if we notice, we have a check user login method that actually tested the Firebase authentication and it get the current user, and it actually move the intent to profile activity. So we have if the user is currently logged in, which we actually didn't use the method. So we use the login user, login a user, whereby you have the context as a parameter, taking the email password, and also the error message. These are the necessary parameters used, and it's actually called on the Firebase authentication to sign in with the email and password. So these are the major aspects that were used to sign in. So on complete, on success, there's a failed to log in, and on success is actually going to if display the message the user has been logged in, and it forwards you down to the profile activity. So that's what this particular Firebase applications do. So we need a helper to actually assist us in also doing this. So inside the helper subpackage, we're going to create a class called helper, and right inside here we'll be creating few fields. First, public, static, minor, string, name, which is equals to name. We're going to have for email, birthday. No, this is just additional fields. This is where you pass in your additional fields. Aside from the from the email and password, you can also want to pass in some other fields like still maintain email. This is email. We're going to have for birthday. Let's have another one for phone number. Let's have for that hobby or interests. Sorry. Interests. And we're going to have public, static, minor, int, which is select picture. That's to change the profile picture. That's fine. So right inside here, we're going to have a public, static, boolean is valid email, by texting the string email is parameter. Now test if email contains an @ sign, return true, else it returns false. Now we have another method which is public, static, void, display message posts, which takes the context string from display image, display message, now it makes a toast. So let's make the text, call the context, call the display message, now we call the toast again to give us the length long this time, and we need to call the show method on the toast. That's just straightforward. That's cool. Back to the login activity. Now we need to import this. Alt enter. Okay, see that clears out, and we're good to go. So from there, we've created the login. We've created the main activity. Now we'll be looking at the sign up and the user profile. Let's get to look at the sign up. This is just going to mimic the login. It looks similar, and we're actually going to do that now. Extends and compact activity, and now we still need those fields. So let me look at the login. They have similar tweak. I'm going to copy all this. I'm just going to change them from where they will put everything. Now the string tag instead of login is going to be sign up. We have the email input, password inputs, sign up text, login error, and the amount. Let's go. And even we're still going to have similar traits with the onCreate. Let me just make this fast up to even this. We even instantiate it similarly, and let me just do it down up to, come on, this looks too much like, that's fine. I will get to integrate that. Just let's have something of this nature, copy, and which is actually from the create. Let's go to the sign up. Paste it right there. So I'm going to modify. We have very similar. Now we have the onCreate, or what we call the feature note title, that's for the window. And now we're going to call the activity sign up. Activity sign up. Set orientation. We did the action bar. It's fine. We pass the M part. About we check the user. Now it's going to be the sign up activity. Sign up activity dot this. We get that. Close that right there. Move on. We have the login error. About we get the error ID. We have the email input. Well, we get the email, the password. Now we have the sign up text as well. We call an on-click listener to this. This time it's going to be forwarded to the sign up activity, and it's calling from the login activity. That's cool. We get the login button. Set on click listener to this. We get the email input, password input. That's fine. Test if it's empty. Now we need to change this to sign up. And also we need to change this to sign up. As if FI is valid. Now we call the create user, not the sign in user. Create new user. So from here we call the sign up activity. I'll show you the create user method, which is actually from the Firebase application. So we'll get that set login error. Let me show you. Firebase application. We got to create new user. It's actually going to create the new user in relative to the login user. That's cool. So we have that set. From here, we'll be looking at the user profile. Let's create a user profile. Let's have that created quickly. Again, we'll create a private string header, another private string, style profile, content. Now let's have a constructor, public, user, profile, string, header, that's another string, profile content, this header equals to header, this profile content equals to profile content. Now you have public string get header, let's get a set, but will return header. We're going to have the public string get profile content. About we return profile content. Just this way, we have the user profile, set of profile content, this header, profile content, the header, the user profile. And, so let's look at the profile activity. It extends app compact activity, and we're going to have some fields, private, fragment manager, but we have the fragment manager. So we're going to have, let's import this. This is actually from the fragment manager. So we get that imported, Alt Enter. Good. We also have private fragment equals to null. Let's import the fragment. We've imported fragment manager, just fragment, and let's have our the onCreate method. So we write protected void create. We're going to pass the save instance state. Undo. Instance state. We'll call the super. Create, but I will pass the save instance state as a parameter. Now let's set the content view, layout, activity profile. We have that activity underscore profile. Or we got to create that XML. So from here, let's create the activity profile that we actually created earlier. So just let me quickly create that. Right in the rest, the layout. You have new layout resource, activity profile. So this is actually going to implement the draw layout. me change all this. So we're going to call the Android support version 4 widgets draw layouts. That's an ID. Layout. Android fits system Windows true. Open draw. Start. So get to import this. Enter, we import the tools. Now let's include the layout, which is actually calling the upper profile. See that there? And we'll call the width and height layout height. Parents. Android layout width, match parents, so let's close that. Now we're going to bring in the navigation drawer, Android, support, design, widget, navigation view. We're going to assign an ID, Android ID. Let's give it nav view. Android layout width, content, Android layout height, match parent, Android layout gravity, start. Now we're going to do Android fits system Windows to true. We're going to have Android scroll bars as none, and now we're going to have the header layout, which we're going to call the layout, nav header profile. So let's import this. Enter, design. That's cool. Can you see that? And we have the menu up. Menu. And now we call the menu. So we're going to have the menu there. Activity profile drawer. Close it right there. That's fine. So here we go with the drawer, the activity profile drawer. That's the menu. I think I've created that. Activity profile drawer. Yeah, I have the menu set, so no problem. Now that's fine. So we'll go back to the profile activity. Now we have the activity profile set. Kind of having activity profile upon screen orientation. Now this is going to be set, not screen orientation. We're going to be set content view. Set content view, not orientation. Now let's call the toolbar class. Toolbar equals to cast the toolbar and get the view. Find view by ID. R.id. Toolbar. Set. Now we're going to set support action bar to the toolbar. That's cool. Now let's call the draw. Draw layout. Draw equals to now the draw layout. Let's get the view. Find view by ID. R.id. Draw layout. Call action bar draw toggle. I'll give toggle. Instantiate with a new action bar draw toggle. Now we need to pass this class draw. Toolbar and also the string. String dot navigation draw open, and we're still going to pass in the close dot string navigation draw close. That's cool. So from here now we're going to set the draw, set the draw listener, to toggle. Say toggle sync state. That's fine. Let's call the fragment manager. Get support fragment manager. And now we have the finder fragment transaction. Fragment transaction. We'll have the fragment manager. Transaction. Then we have the fragment. Instantiate the new profile fragment. New profile fragment. Now we're going to call the fragment transaction to replace. Let's get this ID. Main container wrapper. Let's instantiate the fragment now, and we commit the fragment transaction. That's cool. So now we still need to work on this proof of fragment anyways. Fragment. We need to actually import the fragment manager. Let's continue. Get to have that sorted out. Now let's have the navigation view. Navigation view. Let's get the view by ID. Navigation view. Find view our ID. Our ID, that's the nav view. So we'll disable navigation view, scroll bars. I'll pass navigation view. Go navigation view, set navigation item selected listener. Inside this method, we shade the new navigation. Navigation view, call on navigation item selected listener. Over there. Now we're going to override public boolean navigation item selected. I'll pass the menu item. Get the ID, item, get item ID. Now let's test the if statement for the ID. If the ID is equals to, that's for the menu at the nav, ID dot nav profile. Equals the fragment equals to new profile fragment as an instance. So else if ID equals ID nav chart does nothing, else if ID dot nav contact still maintains nothing, else if ID dot nav online. We're going to have for the nav settings. Else if nav settings. And as well use the case as a switch statement. Logout. So that's fine. Now we're going to get the fragment transaction. Let's get a fragment transaction. Call the fragment manager. Begin transaction. Now transaction. Replace. That's ID dot. Then container wrapper. Fragments. Fragment. Transaction. Commits. Draw layout. Draw. Equals to draw layout. Find view by ID. Add.id dot draw layout. Set the draw not equals to null. I get a drawer, close drawer, passing the gravity compact to start up. Just that, and you return true. Fine with that. So that's about the drawer. Now we're going to have the back pressed on create options menu, on options item selected, and even the disable. Let's get to have the disabled. You get to do that later on your own anyways. Let me just show you how to do the disabled. As a private void disable navigation with scroll bars. Now you have the navigation view. So if navigation view is not equals to null, navigation menu view equals to, now we need to get the ID. It's going to be navigation view that gets child. Child at the first index. Now if navigation menu view is not equals to null, it's time for the menu view, so don't model them up. Now navigation menu view set vertical scroll bar enabled to false. Let's go. So from here, we'll be looking at the profile fragment, and let's get to integrate some stuff right there quickly. Inside this profile fragment, we're going to extend fragment. Fragment, alt enter, and we're going to declare fields, private, static, final, string, tag, fragment, class get simple name, private, image view, profile photo, private, text view, country, private, text view, status, private, Signup view, now another private, linear layout manager, private, string, an ID. Oh, we have another lot of fields here. Static, final, and integer, request, read permission, 20, an integer. Now let's have a constructor, public, profile, fragment, empty constructor. So we get to have the onCreate, very important. How to provide public void onCreate. Now button to save instance state. Save instance state. Set options menu. Sure. Now we're going to override the onCreate. So override the onCreate view. Now we have the layout inflator. View group. Container. Here we go. Of the view goes to the inflator. What we call the inflate layout, fragment profile, container, false. Now we need to get activity. Set the title as of this particular activity. You can do this in the manifest. Profile. This is for the profile. Now we're going to pass in some values. The profile name, I can initialize them, the country, the profile name, we set the visibility on the recycler view. So let's initialize the profile name. Profile name, need to specify that. We should specify the text view. Now let's get the view of this particular text view layout. Get a find view by ID, or we call the view dot find view by ID. ID, profile name, we're going to do the same for the country. Now we're going to call the profile name, set visibility, view, on, call the country, set visibility, that's shots. Now let's get a profile photo equals image view, got the view dot find view ID, circle view, call the profile photo, set on click listener, instantiate the new view on click listener. Now we override on click. Void on click. View. Now we call the final intent. Name it gallery. Intent. There's important intent. We are setting up the profile page, so you know what we're doing. New intent. Dot action. Get content. That's fine. That's all we got there. Just need to scroll down. Now let's call the gallery intent to set type. Now it's going to be image slash historic. Close the right there. Start activity. For results, call the gallery intent, upper, select picture. That's for the profile picture. Out there we need to call the recycler view. This goes to recycler view, find ID, editors, profile, lists, so let's take a step backwards to the profile, the fragment profile, because we need to populate a profile list. So underneath this linear layout, we should have Android support, which is 7 widgets, recycler view. So I need to specify an ID, Android ID, profile list, Android layout width, match parent, Android layout height, match parent, and we're going to need Android layout below, should be below the profile header. Should be a profile header. Where would that sit? I think we should have the profile header for the first layout, the linear layout. We need to assign an ID here. Assign an ID. Android ID. Profile header. So now this recycler view should be below that profile header, and so we're gonna Android layout set to horizontal, true. Let's give an orientation, vertical, and 100. Scroll bars, no. So we have that set perfectly. So back to the fragment manager. Now I have the profile list set. So from here we're going to call the linear layout manager. It goes to the new linear layout manager. Get activity. Now we call the recycler view. Set layout manager, linear layout manager, recycler view, add item decoration, new simple divider decoration, get activity. So let's get Firebase to work here. Call the Firebase application. Get activity. Get application. Get Firebase authentication. Okay. Now the ID equals Firebase application. Get activity. Get application. Get Firebase authenticated ID. That's fine. Now let's call the Firebase helper. Database helper. Created an object and instantiate. Now we're going to use the Firebase database helper objects. As if its user key exists. As in the ID, get activity, and also the recycler. So return the view. That's fine. So we're going to override the onCreate method. The onCreate options menu. That's the menu. Menu inflator. Call the inflator to inflate our menu, the edit profile menu, sets. So let me try to collapse this so I have space to work with. Now we're going to override the options item selected as well. To override, we're going to have a public boolean on options. Space here. Item selected. Menu item. Now let's call the ID item. Okay, item ID. So if the ID is the edit profile, action edit profile, or the intent, give an intent name, edit profile intent, instantiate new intent, get activity, the edit profile activity. get activity, start the activity, and you pass the edit file intent, return true, and you need to return the super on options item select and pass in the ID. So we're going to have the on activity for result, the get the path, and the on requests permission results. Those are just the three methods we'll be looking at. From there, we'll try to look at the manifest and we'll get the application tested. So let me quickly create those methods. I'll just bring them in and I'll get to explain them in detail. So now we have the on activity for results, however we call the super on activity for results, and we get the request code to select the picture. Now we need some permission to read from external storage, and we need to specify that in the Android manifest, which we're going to do. And now we get the path, that's the URI of the picture, and on request permission result. So this is when we pass the request read permission, and if the permission is denied, it's going to actually start a message. Sorry, you can't use this app without granting this permission. So you need a permission to write to external storage. So from here, we're actually going to the manifest. Let's look at the manifest. I'll be uploading the source file anyways, because I might not fully look at every functionality right there. But once you get your hands on the manifest, you should be able to get that done. Now I'm going to actually bring in a permission here as uses permission. This permission is going to be internet firstly. Internet. And the next permission will be read external storage. Reading external storage. Once you have that set, you have the permission. Now you need to register the activity used. We have the launcher as the main activity. That's fine. So let's first of all register the login activity. Let's register the sign up activity. All activities used. Now we register the profile. So let's give the label. String a2 activity profile. I'll give it a theme, Android theme, style, app theme, no action bar, and that's fine. So let's register the edit activity. This will be the edit the profile activity. We have that set already in the manifest. Let's get a look at the profile. Fragments. Let's get to import the Android manifest. Let's import it somewhere here. Import Android manifest right there, so that the permissions will be used. So when you reach external storage And fine, we have the application setting ready. So I'm actually going to be testing this out in an emulator. I'm also going to be uploading the source file if there is any comparison you need to do with the code so that you'll be able to understand it fully. Screen of this application, the Studios. Now there's an interface to log in, and you can log in if you have your credentials. But if you're new to the interface, you need to click on sign up to get yourself signed up. So let me sign up with my email. I'm on yk@yahoo.com. Let me just give a password. Let me repeat my email. I'm on yk. Sign up. Takes you to the profile page that you've signed up, and you can get to see the drawer, the profile, the chart, the contacts online, and you can even edit your credentials. When you come over here, you can pass in your name, the country, phone number, your hobby, and you save to edit your profile. So this is just how the application works.